Well, it's another refreshing time on your program, Agenda 2030. And it is a moment to bring you reports of development efforts by stakeholders in pursuant to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. I am Toyin Nkamiang John. As usual, today's episode promises to be very insightful, and we hope you will have a swell time. We will be bringing you all the details from the strategic meeting put together by the United Nations and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs to help raise the momentum for the SDGs. Just sit back and savor it as we will unveil the package to you after this break. Stay with us.
Agenda 2030. As a successor framework for the Millennium Development Goals, the global community rolled out a bigger, deeper, and more encompassing framework called the Sustainable Development Goals, designed to transform our world, lift the poor out of poverty, as well as ensure inclusive and healthy society. On Agenda 2030, we take you on a media trip to the global destination of the future we want. With everyone on board, we focus on the people and their struggle, the civil society and their agitations, the government and her development effort, the Global Development Agenda, its 17 goals and 169 targets. We bring you all the deliberations, insightful conversations and high-level partnerships on the road to global destination. Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Thanks for staying tuned. Remember, you can always watch this program and other episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channels on youtube.com/Fresh News TV and youtube.com/Agenda 2030 TV. You can also watch this program live on Facebook. Just log on to www.facebook.com/Fresh News NG and www.facebook.com/Agenda 2030 TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Agenda 2030 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to drop your comments and share with your contacts. Do use the hashtag Agenda 2030 and hashtag Agenda 2030 TV.
I am Guillaume Delalande from the OECD. You're watching Agenda 2030.
Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
The need to prioritize and mainstream the SDGs into state development plans, as well as ensure active participation of stakeholders at national and subnational level, took the center stage at this meeting jointly put together by the United Nations Development Programme and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs. The meeting had in attendance state liaison officers, state SDGs focal persons, and other stakeholders. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, Princess Adejoke Orilope Adefulire, reiterated the need for massive advocacy and sensitization at the state level to ensure massive buy-in as the country strives to attain the global agenda. According to the presidential aide, only 4 out of the 36 states and the FCT have mainstreamed the SDGs. This scenario has strengthened the need for other states to key in fast. Princess Orilope Adefulire elucidated these and other factors critical to the attainment of the goals in her remarks.
It is gladdening to see focal persons and representatives of individual states at this gathering. We are here to explore strategies and options for productive advocacy and engagement to fast-track implementation of sustainable development goals at the subnational level. As we all are aware, the SDG are universal call for action to end poverty, safeguard the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy prosperity and peace. The goals provide clear guidelines and targets for all countries and member states to adopt in accordance with their own priorities and peculiarities, building on the unfinished task of the Millennium Development Goals, known as SDGs. The 17 SDGs goals and 169 targets aim to tackle the root cause of poverty and unite us together to make a positive change for both the people and the planet. Indeed, the SDG work in the spirit of partnership and pragmatism to make the necessary choices to improve livelihood in a very sustainable way. As we discuss various options for deepening awareness and stakeholders' engagement in the implementation of sustainable development goals at the subnational level, I urge you to pay close attention on how we can effectively integrate the SDG into a subnational level, the states and the local government. The policies of the state and local government, the plans as well as the programs. The SDG cannot be achieved through standalone projects and programs. They must be carefully mainstreamed into the medium and long-term plans of the state and local government as implemented by the national government through the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP. It is our hope that any development plan at the subnational level should be SDG-based. Plan that consciously mainstream the relevant SDG targets and indicators. I am glad to note that most states have put in place institutional structure to support the implementation of SDGs within their jurisdictions and are currently implementing strategic programs and initiatives, often in partnership with the federal government and development partners that are aligned to the SDGs. It is equally inspiring to see that some states are proactively incorporating the 3 dimensions of SDG into their state plans, as well as their other related programs. Certainly, this is the way to go if we are to leave no one behind. After all, the state and local government are the closest tiers of government to the people and have adequate physical capacity. For SAP SDG, my office will continue to coordinate and work closely with the subnational government to fast-track the implementation of SDGs and the achievement of desired outcomes. However, I must emphasize that institutional capacity is required at both national and subnational levels if we are to make meaningful progress in the implementation of 2030 agenda known as SDGs. It is for this that we are all gathered here and will continue to count on the technical support of our key development partners, the UN system and other development partners and donor agencies. I sincerely hope that this breakfast meeting will offer useful insights on how to create awareness and to productively engage stakeholders at the subnational level in support of SDG. I welcome you all once again to this very important meeting to remind ourselves on the task ahead of us, which the head of government Nigeria has signed off on behalf of all of us. It behoves on us to roll our sleeves. This is the 2nd year, we are approaching the 2nd year of SDGs, and the 3rd year will commence in January. So we have to assess ourselves what we have done, what we need to do, and going forward, and so that we can fast-track the implementation of 2030. 15 years, by the time we know it, it's here. We've spent already 2 years, we have 3 years to go, and we have to review what we have done the last 2 years, although we are still in the era of advocacy. But how far have we educated our people? How far have we carried our people along? Have we also looked at their plans and programs? Either the one we have, or we need to amend or adjust the plan and programs of the state and the local government to be SDG based, so that we can together implement, achieve the sustainable development goals. As we all know that federal government alone cannot, we need the support of the states and local government to jointly implement, so that together we will leave no one behind.
While offering the willingness of the United Nations in Nigeria to generously give technical backstopping and capacity development to the states in delivering on their quest to attain the SDGs, the United Nations representatives insisted that the states will deliver more development if the framework of the SDGs is properly integrated into the development process at the subnational level. Country Director of the United Nations Development Programme, Samuel Bwalia, told the participants that the goals and targets of the SDGs can only be achieved if there is strong political will and partnerships. He also says the first step to attaining this is proper planning.
SDGs can only be achieved when there is strong political leadership, strong national ownership, and strong participation of all citizens, all organizations, the youth, the women, traditional leaders, religious leaders, and everybody. Now, galvanizing that support, we want to prioritize first the fact that there should be political commitment and leadership at the federal level, which has been demonstrated sufficiently. There is state political leadership and commitment to implement SDGs at the state level, and there is political commitment to get everybody involved in the process to deliver on SDGs. What is the role for UNDP here? The role for UNDP is to help accompany these processes at the federal and state level and assist national governments, state governments, basically to plan and integrate all the SDGs in their development planning. Because everything starts with planning before we even talk about implementation. If you have got a good plan, then you can talk about what you need, the resources and the technical capacities you need to marshal around, and the support you need to marshal around from a citizen to implement the goals. So we are starting with the planning. And the role for us is to move in and use our technical expertise and experiences drawn from a number of countries where we work to be able to support states to actually do SDG-based planning, get the indicators right, so that they know where they are going and where they can deploy resources to support implementation. So what we'll be doing now, moving forward, is to closely work with the states and begin to roll out the SDGs. The second part is to create awareness, because SDGs cannot be implemented by the states alone. You need the private sector to come in. You need civil society to come in. You need traditional leaders to come in. So our job will be to convene all the stakeholders and rally their efforts to come and support SDG implementation in Nigeria. When SDGs are achieved, we'll get a better education, better health. Children will go to school, services will be delivered, and everything. Development is about the people. People must feel development in their own terms. So we want this to be a people-driven process than a process only driven from the top. We want to make sure that people participate and define the priorities they want to see as priorities for their states to champion on. That's all about the SDGs. It's about development. It's about taking care of the environment. It's about prosperity. It's about equity. It's about confronting poverty. Our role as UNDP is to support and galvanize the processes needed to ensure that Nigeria basically meets the SDG goals. Federal government has already made a global commitment that Nigeria will be moving on SDGs. In this sense, we only expect that all state governments who buy into that commitment already demonstrated at the federal level to ensure that they adopt SDG modeling in their states. We will stand by them. We will support them to do that. I think our responsibility is to also marshal the international community and the UN system, working with the Office for the Senior Special Assistant on SDGs and the budget and national planning at the federal level to support those states that want to actually lead and champion the SDG implementation at the state and sub-state level.
The enthusiastic participants also took turns to speak on the models they are deploying to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in their respective states.
SDGs has come to Enugu. We are doing a lot, or we have done a lot, through the help of the state government. We have carried this to both the local government and the communities, the awareness. And there is nobody in Enugu State you will ask what is SDGs that will not be able to tell you. We started with skill acquisition, training the youths. 750 youths were empowered, trained and empowered.
Some of the state's focal persons on SDGs also gave hints on what their state governments are doing to efficiently mainstream the SDGs in their various states and progress made so far.
The area of good health and well-being, we've done well. Our governor has built hospital. As I am speaking now, there's a program going on for pregnant women. Once you're pregnant, you register, free drugs, and 3,000 naira per month for every pregnant woman until the day you deliver. So I'm sure that one is a very great initiative for our pregnant women. Then in the case of quality education, they are also done well, but there is more need to be done in the state. So individuals, especially organizations, they've taken up the awareness to the local governments.
The level of insecurity in our states will impact with virtually every other aspect of the 17 goals. Poverty, education, health, all these factors, because you will find a very large percentage of areas where schools are no longer operational because of insecurity. People no longer go to farms that have already been planted and with very high prospects of crops are being rampaged by killer flood herdsmen. It is terribly unfortunate that you have your own farm, even to the point where you are about to harvest the farm, they bring animals and graze on your farm, and when you approach these herdsmen, they raise an AK-47 and point at you. So you, as an ordinary farmer, you have to run away. So the issue of insecurity is affecting virtually every other goal in our state.
They, however, called for more interventions in some areas of development, a request the United Nations Development Programme Country Director and the Presidential Aid on SDGs offered to provide solutions to.
We have been busy mainstreaming the SDG into the state development plan, and we cannot do that without having going through a lot of previous development plans that was done to the state which failed. And one of the key things that borders on the implementation of SDG is for us to be able to alleviate poverty on the plateau. And UNDP as an organization years back conducted a poverty survey in Plateau State, and we are of course collaborating with them so that we will be able to implement the sustainable development goals towards alleviation of poverty on Plateau State.
In Jigawa State, we are very proactive in trying to mainstream the SDGs into our development plan. In the state, we have the state development plan, which we call Comprehensive Development Framework, which contain all the developmental objectives of the state, ranging from the health issue, education, economic empowerment, whatever. It entails all the pillars that are related to the SDGs goals. Therefore, we try to implement these goals or these objectives through our medium-term sector objectives, which we call MTSS. And then we implement MTSS through the annual budget. So there is a linkage between our comprehensive development goals, which they are SDGs related goals or pillars, then through the MTSS and the annual budget. And we have our policies that will help in implementing these goals.
Bauchi State government has been doing so much in trying to integrate the programs and projects of the SDGs into the state plan. The most important part of what we've been doing is advocacy, sensitization of the stakeholders and the generality of the people of Bauchi State on the need for all government and non-governmental agencies to integrate the SDGs into their own plans. Because when I said in non-governmental, they are also part of our own partners. Therefore, we've been trying to sensitize them on the need for us to do that. We've carried out sensitization visits to governmental agencies. We've had workshops in trying to do that. Secondly, we have another workshop coming up for stakeholders also, so that to still hammer it to them that there is the need for the programs and projects of the SDGs to be mainstreamed in all the other governmental plans. It's not just about having an SDGs office to carry out all these things. We all know that partnership is key whenever in trying to achieve the SDGs. So mainly the issue of advocacy is what we've been doing in Bauchi State. And I'm very happy that most of these agencies, especially the governmental agencies, working together with the State Planning Commission, have been keen into it, and we're having a series of meetings trying to see how we'll get there.
Lagos State went through awareness programs of from the senatorial district down to the local governments, to carry people along to know what to do in different local governments. And I'm sure you see our governor go around all the local governments talking about community discussion in terms of town hall meetings to see the specific problems each local government has and is facing, and to see how such can be eradicated or reduced where applicable. So Lagos State has done a lot, and I give that to the governor. His vision and visionary leadership.
And that's our package this week. Before we go, let's quickly remind you that you can always watch this program and other episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channels on youtube.com/FreshNewsTV and youtube.com/Agenda 2030 TV. You can always watch the program live on Facebook. Just log on to www.facebook.com/FreshNewsNG and www.facebook.com/Agenda 2030 TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Agenda 2030 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to drop your comments and share with your contacts. Do use the hashtag Agenda 2030 and hashtag Agenda 2030 TV.
Nigeria will continue to support the United Nations in all its efforts, including the attainment of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I thank you.
Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Thank you very much for being part of the program. I am Tony Kamian John. See you again next week. Bye.